Hi guys, this is Carmen. I wanted to talk to you. I thought it would be good to make a screen capture about a poem that I have written myself. Not to promote my work to you. This is certainly not my best poem, but obviously it's fresh in my mind because I just wrote it. And I thought that it might help you to understand, from the point of view of a person writing a poem, my thought process while making it, particularly in regard to some of the poetic devices that I'm teaching you. I'm specifically going to talk about stanza, line breaks, and caesura. Line breaks meaning, enjambment, and caesura in this poem. You'll notice other devices I've already taught you about. You're going to notice that the way that I phrase it, the meter draws some attention to certain words and not others, makes it sound more like a song. You're going to notice that I use off-rhyme, also called slant rhyme when things don't quite rhyme, and that I use end rhyme sometimes, and that I use a lot of internal rhyme. You'll notice some things that I'm going to teach you about tomorrow, which are about similes, which is comparisons using like or as, or metaphors, comparisons without using like or as, which is called figurative language. This is a narrative poem. It's got a beginning, middle, and end. You'll definitely notice a lot of imagery, which I'm going to teach you about tomorrow, as well as the tone of the poem and voice of the speaker and the intended audience. You might, notice all of these things, register when I talk about them tomorrow. But for now, I want to talk about enjambment and caesura and stanzas, which are line breaks in poetry. And to talk about what line breaks in poetry mean, so the line in a poem is not a sentence. A sentence, simply put, a sentence in English is a subject plus a verb. That's it. For example, the shortest sentence is what, in the English language, is what Descartes said about thinking. I think, therefore, I am, right? I am is the shortest sentence. Or what people say when they get married. I do. Those are the shortest sentences in the English language. Subject plus a verb. You don't need to have an object. The subject performs the action of the verb. If there's an object, say I play basketball, then the thing being played is basketball. So that's called the object, right? You don't need to have an object in English. So that's called an independent clause, subject plus a verb. Usually, of course, sentences are way longer than that, but we often have sentences that are two independent clauses joined with a comma and using what I like to call the fanboys. Fanboys are the coordinating conjunctions that we use to tie together two independent clauses. Fanboys stands for and, nor, but, yet, so. Right? Did I miss any? Oh, I missed or. For, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. Fanboys, right? So I went to the store, and I bought some milk. I went out tonight, but I did not enjoy myself, right? So the way that we use these coordinating conjunctions depends on meaning. But this is to put together two independent clauses into a sentence without it being what's known as a comma splice, which is a type of run-on sentence where you are missing this, and you just put two sentences together with a comma without the proper coordinating conjunction, right? So this is just a little bit of grammar. So oftentimes in a poem, you have to understand how line breaks are work. They're totally different than sentences, right? You may have a sentence that is, the whole poem is one sentence. So let's talk about why poets break lines where they do. Okay. Stanza is the paragraph of poetry. When you are writing your papers, and this goes for all of your papers that you'll be writing for this class, when you write a new paragraph, the reason you make a new paragraph is because you have shifted to a slightly different subject. It may be related to the last paragraph. And in fact, it should be related to the last paragraph. It should follow logically, because writing is just thinking on the page. But you have shifted to a slightly different take on that subject, and that's why you need to have a topic sentence. The topic sentence, when you're writing, is a mini thesis statement that lets the reader know what's coming in the paragraph, right? So think of stanzas in poetry as being paragraphs of poetry, of longer poems. Some poems are just one paragraph, but some poems have multiple paragraphs. Sometimes poets make them all the same, looking the same, right? And because we're thinking about how the poem looks as well as it sounds. So if you have 2 lines, it's called couplet. Maybe the whole thing's written in couplets and they're about the same length. Same number of syllables, same number of poetic feet, right? Maybe you have it tercets, 3 lines. Maybe you have quatrains, 4 lines. Maybe you have quintets, 5 lines. I think that's right. Quintets. And then you repeat that over and over again, right? 5 lines, 5 lines, 5 lines, broken up into these paragraphs of poems called stanzas. However, they do not have to be mathematically, made and metrical like that. In free verse poetry, which is what this poem is, they can be broken up, just like when you're writing a paper, according to that you're slightly shifting subject, right? They don't have topic sentences the way that you do when you're writing a paper because this poems are different, but they're like the paragraph of poetry. Okay, enjambment and caesura are the 2 types of line breaks. There are just 2 types. Caesura first means cease from the Latin. Okay, it's a natural pause in the line. Imagine where a comma might be. Sometimes there actually is a comma. This slows down the reading of the poem, provides space for breathing and contemplation of the line you just read, usually broken between 2 independent clauses in a sentence, just like we do in any kind of writing, okay? Enjambment, not a natural break, broken between, for example, an adjective and its noun, or another unnatural break. It speeds up the reading of the poem, can provide double meanings to the line that is unnaturally broken, and gives more emphasis to the following line. Okay, I'm just going to read through this poem for now. I think I'm going to make another one going through slowly and showing you why I chose these line breaks, but for now I'm just reading this poem out loud. As a caveat, before I read you this poem, I don't want you to worry about me. I am what's called an adjunct. 85% of higher education right now are going to be adjunct professors in public universities or community colleges. Everyone kind of has to start their career here. I taught ESL abroad for many years, and I came back to decide to pursue a career just 3 years ago, teaching writing, which is what I did my degree in. The head of the department also started as an adjunct. We all start as adjuncts. I don't think it's fair. We're paid very, very little, and we have no benefits. I was talking to my brother tonight. He is coming from the opposite scenario of being in charge of the neuroscience program at a major university in this country. He's been told to not care about teaching his students because they want him to do research to bring in money for their university. Meantime, they're not paying your teachers who are here to teach you very well, which is also affecting the quality of most of us have to work second jobs. Right now, for example, I just quit my second job because it moved out to the airport, which was too far for me without a car. So I'm job hunting and doing a lot of interviews and so on. And then I will be working a second job. We also, we're always looking for a tenure track job, so we're going to take that full-time job when we get it. Less consistency for students. Most of us are very dedicated teachers, or we wouldn't be doing this otherwise because they're paying us really not a lot. And I'm not trying to make you feel sorry for me in any way. It's fine. And, the head of the department, as I said, understands and was himself an adjunct. So it's fine if I tell you this. That's a caveat because this poem is a poem that is about poverty, and it's a poem about feeling stuck up about myself or internal conflicts about the idea of being impoverished and other people recognizing me as a fellow poor person and coming to terms with that in the end and kind of having a human moment of connection at the end of this poem. So it's a narrative poem with a beginning, middle, and end, and it's called Fries and the Dollar Store, Tucson, Arizona. On a cool night in this place that haunts me, I exit the grocery store after wrestling vegetables and cheese, fruit and tortillas, peanut butter, coffee, nuts, milk into a bike bag on the grimy floor, wrestling it like an alligator, shamelessly in front of shoppers who breeze through automatic doors in plastic wrap simplicity, or else with head held high, paper baggers always have. In the dollar store next door, a woman confides in me she lost her sister in there yesterday. She winks at me, then ducks outside to search every last trash can, and this time I wrestle with the silver hook of my bike bag stuck on some intricate and pointless geometry, one of the numerous small bones of a bike which seem designed to confound, as if bikes evolved like humans. Selective pressure, some bits left over, vestigial cogs, tiny triangles going nowhere. A brown-haired man with basset hound eyes stoops to help me, and as we struggle to free the bag, he mutters over and over, while meeting my eyes, "The food line, the food line." Over and over he says it, the food line, like it is the name of some club or a best-selling book, perhaps a totem of power or a Gregorian chant. Just last week I got asked if I was homeless for removing my shoes in public, and maybe he's got a point, I think. Maybe I shouldn't be such a snob, while in my head cacophonous. How dare he try to help me? What does he think I am, poor? I, of the impoverished scholar class who just gave up drink more from poverty than choice. Oh, sweet and bitter irony, biking to save money, not drinking to save money, free fruits and veggies to save money. Since becoming poor, I have never been so healthy. How I luxuriate in this high-class poverty. Out in the chilly night, as the woman searches for her sister, men in padded ponchos flap their arms and squawk in a circle round my bike, and when polite I ask them to step back, one tells me, "This is your bike, huh? This bike is some old-school shit. Fantastic. A classic Peugeot that I bought in bad shape, $70 and fixed it up, truing the wheels, adjusting the brakes, rewrapping the bars, black and white with red tape. In 200 years, you keep this bike, you could be a millionaire," he tells me. "You be dead, but a millionaire," still flapping his arms like a bird settling down. I avoid his gaze, uncomfortable, as I carefully balance the weight of the bag, fumble the U-lock, try to click it in place. He holds my back wheel for me, and I stop every so often to straighten my scarf, which keeps slipping down from around my hot neck. And then, and just by accident, glancing up from under my concentration to spy on his eyes for just a second, the way we do when we think someone else is not looking, I see that he is looking, and I can't help myself from smiling. And I can't stop myself from smiling. I smile at him, and he smiles at me, and it's him and me and the smile, all three. We have to help each other out, you see. We have to help each other. We who have so little have this much. Okay, so I'm going to go back through and just talk to you about the line breaks and why I chose to make the line breaks and the meaning behind it and some of the double meanings in this poem and what's going on in this poem, which I think just having a poet, well, I mean someone who writes poetry, talk to you, about... I'm getting now bashful because this is my poem. Talk to you about what I was thinking when I wrote this poem and why I made these choices, I think will help you to understand poetic devices. So, I'm going to make another video, and please watch that one too. Okay, so I'm going to end this now since I would keep going with this one, but I only have 15 minutes of free recording. So I'm going to stop this and make another one, which I will call Part 2, Dissecting This Poem. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in Part 2.